Would you like to know a little bit more about the deeper you? Would you like to peel off your many layers to find yourself? So, just like those Russian dolls, which are one inside the other, so is our life and our consciousness in 5 sheets. Hello, everyone. Welcome to today's talk on Panchkosha Vikas. It's also called as Sarvangin Vikas or holistic development. And it basically will tell us about the 5 sheets or 5 layers of consciousness that our body goes through as it develops and for the rest of our life as well. So we know about the stages of life from small age, child's age, right up to old age. And we have learned personality development and various such personality building and personality ethics. But what Panchkosha development teaches is character building or character ethic, which is the development from inside us. So these 5 koshas are namely the Annamaya Kosh, Pranamaya Kosh, Manomaya Kosh, Vijnanamaya Kosh, and Anandamaya Kosh. These are like the 5 Russian dolls, which are one within the other. So each one is based on the other one. Let's take an analogy of this by understanding a car. So when you see a beautiful car, there's the body of the car, that's like the Annamaya Kosh. Then we have the fuel system, which is like the Pranamaya Kosh. Then we have other systems in the car like the ignition, the carburation. This is like the Manomaya Kosh. And then there is artificial intelligence in some of the cars. That's like the Jnanamaya Kosh. And then the final experience that the driver feels inside this beautiful car is the Anandamaya Kosh. Now, this is a crude analogy, but this is to understand that 5 koshas are there in our human body as well. So, when we see the form of a person, that is the Annamaya Kosh or the body. When we see the person moving, the gait, the talk, that it's like the Pranamaya Kosh. And then there is the emotional body with all emotions and thoughts. Then there is the body or the consciousness that discriminates between right and wrong. This is the Jnanamaya Kosh or Vijnanamaya Kosh. And finally, the body of bliss, which is the Anandamaya Kosh. Annamaya Kosh is made up of physical matter. Pranamaya Kosh is made up of the vital energy. The Manomaya Kosh is made up of thought energy. Jnanamaya Kosh is about intelligence development, and Vijnanamaya Kosh about realization of that intelligence. And finally, the wonderful kosha of bliss, which is called the Anandamaya Kosh. So these are the kosha attributes. As you see, they're going from a more physical nature to a more subtle nature. Like the actual Annamaya Kosh can be seen by the form, and it gets more subtler and subtler. For example, we can see or perceive the prana and the Manomaya Kosh, but the deeper layers of intelligence and bliss is something to be experienced when you live with another person. Now, mostly this develops at a certain age in life, but then it goes on being promoted and developing and facilitating the other areas of growth as well. So normally 0 to 5 is for Annamaya, and 5 to 10 is for Pranamaya, and 10 to 15 is for Manomaya, and 15 to 20 for Jnanamaya, and 20 onwards for Anandamaya. So today we will look at each one of them in details and how we can improve on them. We'll start with the foundational kosha, the most important one, which is like the basis of all the others. This is called as the Annamaya Kosh. And the Annamaya Kosh is basically, we can relate to it to the little children when we are in the age of 0 to 5. Survival is most important, and everything that the child gets hold of puts it in the mouth. And so this is the age where the body is developing, the limbs, the senses, And therefore, mother's love is important, mother's care and affection is very important, and the food is most important that is being provided at this age. Anna means food, which is the densest of all the koshas, and it includes the bones, tissues, and muscles and organs. And this is the earth layer. But we should not get too obsessed by this layer, though we should take care of it. Too much obsession of this layer limits our consciousness only up to bodybuilding or becoming very physically beautiful. That's just one part of our being, that's not the all in all. And therefore, Annamaya Kosh is a basis for the rest of the koshas, and we have to develop the sense of growing our consciousness to more than this kosha. However, this kosha is of a lot of importance, and it has three main enhancers. One of them is the diet. So we should have a healthy sattvic diet, eating adequately and properly. Then the next most important thing is apt rest. We should have adequate rest and at proper times for proper number of hours. And another one is cleanliness, which is about both external and internal. Like I said, the prominent age for this kosha is 0 to 5 years of age. The first 5 years when the child is within the support and care of the parents, especially the mother. But this kosha is developing all the time throughout our lives, and we need to eat healthy, we need to take proper rest, and we need to be properly clean. Now, for a child, as we said, quality food is most important. We also need a lot of physical care. And also, another important thing is that food is not the only input that we are putting in. It's about different inputs that go into our body through our different senses. For example, we have for our eyes, we need the fresh morning sun gazing. We need to look at nature's beauty, go into nature at least once a month and be in it, and avoid too much of screen, too much of harsh lights, toxic paints, smoky environments like closed discotheques, etc., pornography. For ears, we need soothing natural sound and avoid very auditory decibel limits, high levels of that. And for the nose, we need fresh air, fresh fragrances, avoiding artificial perfumes. For our tongue, we need sattvic natural foods and tastes, avoiding rajasic, tamasic tastes, unhealthy tastes, and too much of loud and bad words. For our healthy skin, we need natural organic cloth, and we need to avoid synthetic clothes. So the next kosha we come to is Pranamaya Kosh, and Pranamaya Kosh is the kosha of vitality. It's that vital force inside us, the prana, which moves everything throughout our body. There are 5 types of pranas, known as the prana, apana, udana, samana, and vyana. Each of them is responsible for different functions in our body. Our body is made up of nadis, and there are many nadis, but 3 prominent nadis is the Ida and the Pingala. The Ida nadi, as some of you all may be knowing, is on the left side. It's the cool Chandra nadi, and this helps in cooling and sleep, in introvertness, in meditation, in concentration. As against the right side, which is called as the Pingala nadi, which is for the vital energy. And where these 2 join, that's where we get the 7 chakras, which are the basic points from where the energy flows in the body. So there are these 7 chakras starting from the Muladhara chakra up to the Sahasra chakra, and how the energy flows through all of this. So we have seen that prana lies in anna. So if we have had good anna, we'll be able to have a healthy, vital body. However, we need to have vitality through exercise also, especially through exercise of the breath. So pranayama is very important for the exercise of the various breaths that we have. There is a high frequency photography method, which is called the Killian method, you may have heard of, which gives us an ability to come to see the aura of the person, which shows us the various chakras, and whether those chakras are, how healthy they are, whether they are working finely, whether they are blocked according to the color coding that is there. And this shows us that prana is most essential, and therefore we must be eating food which has high prana. We must be taking care of our breath and breathing very deeply and very awarely. And so these are the three basic enhancers for this kosha: pranayam, which is called breathing properly and in a very conscious state. We all have limited number of breaths. If we take them deeply and effectively, naturally they'll give us a longer life. And also it's very important to be active, because we have to be enthusiastic and doing stuff, and so exercising moderately and effectively. The prominent age for development of this kosha is 5 to 10 years of age. However, we need to remain active throughout our life, and we must take up some important work that we're doing on a daily basis, moment to moment, so that we stay active. Now, for a child of 5 to 10, the consciousness is reverted in activity. So, children need to be active all the time. And this is the time their heart, lung, and mind is developing. So, this needs a lot of free activity, movement for the children, so that their limbs, their organs can develop nicely. They are in the control of the teacher at this stage. And mostly we put them through different kinds of fun activities, learning activities, which helps them to grow physically as well as mentally. Unfortunately, our education system kind of binds them into classrooms and on a desk and chair, where this is the age when children should be allowed to do a lot of learning through climbing trees and rolling on mud, and of course doing a lot of active exercises. The next kosha is the Manomaya kosha. As the name suggests, it's to do with the man or the mind. And so the last part of, or the last organ that is developing in a human being is the brain. And especially in these years, it's the development of the frontal lobe, which has the emotions involved with it. And so children are generally very touchy and feely at this time, and they go through a lot of mental, emotional turmoil. And so there should be a lot of guidance, and even teaching them things like meditation and yoga nidra for giving them a healthier development of this kosha. This is prominently seen in the teenage years, 10 to 15, but then there are people who live in the Manomaya Kosh for the rest of their life, because they relate to their emotions and they think that they are basically what they feel. But that's not the only thing, so we should just bear that in mind. So Manomaya Kosh for children is about development of feeling when they are mostly no longer in the control of their parents or their teachers. They are basically very much under peer pressure. So they really live with friends and for friends, which is fine. By understanding this, we can take them through this layer and develop it properly. If you see the average teenage brain, there's a lot of rebellion going on. There's a lot of love and hate for parents. Parents don't understand me. They just don't know what I want. This is kind of the regular pendulum that a teenage mind goes through. And so there should be a lot of channelizing of their energy into creative things, because creativity is also developing at this stage, and they should be picking up a lot of creative outputs of release for all their emotions that are there pent up in a growing brain. So we have teenagers picking up on music, poetry, of course being with their friends, and parents at this stage should become good friends with their children. The next kosha is called as the Jnanamaya Kosh, or it's also called as the Vijnanamaya Kosh. The difference between Jnana and Vigyan is Jnana is information and Vigyan is realized information. So when that information is realized and the mind and the brain, or the intelligence actually, the buddhi, starts to discriminate the right from the wrong, it starts to make the right choices, then that is the development of the material and spiritual intelligence. The power of discrimination grows in this stage, and it needs a lot of mentoring. And this is the stage when the child should have a strong mentor or teacher to guide them on what needs to be done. So this age for this is 15 to 20, but this could vary from person to person. um, this is the age in which we are making choices for our career, maybe even for life partner, and also for important decisions that we take day in and day out. This is about also a stage where a lot of youth are going through isolation, anxiety, loneliness, loss of reality. It's actually the time which is influenced by a lot of isms we are caught hold of, such as hedonism, patriotism, humanitarianism. These isms are an answer to our existential dilemma. Because our fundamental question is, who am I? Why am I in this world? Who is the creator? What's my relationship with the creator? What am I here for? So these kind of questions, when answered properly, this kosha becomes very robust, very healthy. And if not answered properly, this becomes a reason for existential bitterness. Life can become very meaningless, and we have seen youth committing suicide, and or the other extreme, becoming the Hitler type of personality, which has their own isms for which they're even ready to harm and kill others. So we see that when not taken care of, this kosha can make people into psychopaths and tyrants. But if taken care of, this kosha can make the best of philosophers and humanitarians. The next kosha we come to is called as the Anandamaya Kosh. If the Jnanamaya Kosh is well developed, then this kosha can also develop and bloom very beautifully. This is the kosha which is beyond any sukha dukkha. This is the kosha which helps us to differentiate between temporary happiness and permanent bliss. And proper training and education can give us this knowledge and realization. So a good state of the Anandamaya Kosh helps to develop selfless attitude, and this is seen in many great welfare workers and saints who have lived for the welfare of the society. And a bad state of this is selfish, immature, vindictive type of people, even like terrorists who would shoot and kill, and they get some vikrit or weird kind of pleasure by harming and killing innocent people. So this is a Vikrit Anandamaya Kosh. So the benefits of developing these koshas properly is to have a healthy body, is to have a very focused and calm mind, is to have an intelligence which is very robust and can make right decisions at the right time, and finally to have a happy, blissful, jolly soul. So we saw that the kosha attributes are increased by asana, by pranayam, by meditation, by proper mentorship, and leading to making a service contribution. So what we are going to be learning today is how do we make these timetables which can help us to put these koshas into the right proportion, into the right time of the day, so that we don't miss out on anything, so that we take care of all these various different koshas that we go through. So like designing a diet chart to a weekly working out chart, or how do we give time to our relationships, how do we increase our skill and competence, and definitely get mentored into positive attitudes, and then develop an understanding of service to the world. So this is the way we're juggling many things at one time, juggling different types of activities and roles and goals that we have. So how we make a timetable is, there are many ways of it, but this is the way we I like to follow, and which is very effective, is to block up, make like blocks of time for different roles and goals, and see them in accordance to these koshas. And the understanding is that Annamaya Kosh and Pranamaya Kosh, because two of them together, they take up a good chunk of time, so about 50%, because 8 hours, 7 to 8 hours is only for good sleep at night. Sleep early, sleep by 9 p.m., and have effective 6 hours of rest even by 12 midnight. So 9 to 6 gives you, 9 p.m. to 12 midnight, 3 hours of rest gives you 6 hours of rejuvenation. And thereafter, from this is a study that's been done, so this shows us that from 12 midnight to 3 in the morning, we get 3 hours of sleeping, gives us 3 hours of rest. And in the morning, after 3 to 6, 3 hours of sleep gives us 3 hours of rest. And the early morning, 3 o'clock to 6 o'clock, 3 hours of sleep really just gives us 1.5 hours of rest or rejuvenation.